Music is an experience, isn't it? What was that like for you? Feel free to just call out. Peaceful. Personal. Soothing. Meditative. I heard open and all-inclusive. To me, there is nothing more connecting. When I sing and hear an array of other voices, I feel a soul-deep connection to each person who joins in making that unique expression of wonder. It is a sound that will never be completely replicated. There is a unique sound and expression, but inside of our bodies, our hearts and our minds, it resonates and reflects differently. Many windows, one light. There is a creation that we all just participated in. But as a minister, as someone who uses the power of words for a living, I find it frustrating that I can't find words to describe what music does to us and why. Why good music feels magical. Music has been the language of my soul since before I had words. My parents were always proud to tell me that before I spoke, I sang. For many of us, there is nothing more awe-inspiring than music. It taps into a part of us where words can only scratch the surface. Music reminds me to remember my emotional self. It has the power to make me feel a divine spark within my humanity. If we were to sing the song Seasons of Love from the musical Rent, I would probably cry. Because it transports me to Greenwich Village in the 1990s, where people I knew and loved were dying from AIDS. It transports me to the Nederlander Theater, where I first saw Rent, and the first time I felt I experienced God. A sense of absolute transcendence that only music could create inside me. It transports me to my wedding, where I had chosen to have everyone walk down to Seasons of Love. It expresses something about my faith and my hope for our world that words never could. And I am keenly aware that there are people in this room that would experience a profound sense of boredom if we were to sing it, because they don't share my history or experience. Every song tells not one story, but millions. And in this regard, Pat was a transcendent storyteller, a creator of stories within us. That is what true musicians can do, isn't it? Find a piece of our soul we thought we'd forgotten and reconnect us. I think that's part of what I find to be almost divine about music. I've seen it inspire a generation of protesters. I've seen it bring feuding people together. And I've seen it work medical miracles. When I was a hospital chaplain, I was ministering to a patient who had experienced a catastrophic stroke. He was completely unable to talk. All he could do was scream and yell. He was so terrified to be trapped inside of his mind. It was clear that he didn't have much time. So I offered to contact a music chaplain, a guitarist named Jeff, who would sing with patients nearing the end. And Jeff started to play the song, Dancing Cheek to Cheek. And as he did, my terrified patient suddenly burst into song with the biggest smile on his face. He sang every single word. His kids were watching with tears streaming down their cheeks and told me that it had been his and their mother's song. As the song ended, he uttered the words, "She is so beautiful." Those were his final words. And his final experience was one of absolute joy and lucidity. Music healed a part of his brain just long enough to share one more dance with his wife before he passed. This was a moment that I knew not only does music transform our lives, but it's a language that we can share in even when other language has gone. It's a universal language that reaches everyone. In many ways, it's the ultimate expression of UU theology, a universal sharing of our unique emotional experiences. We are tapping into a part of ourselves that can only be reached by music. Somehow, it has the power to connect, to unite, and simultaneously the power to be profoundly unique, to tap into a piece of ourselves that only we have access to. It has a universal power, but what that power looks like is different for each of us. That is why the music makers are blessed, because they are creators of a whole universe inside of us. Music is a language that I've always been frustrated that I couldn't read better. I felt like it meant that I was a music lover, but maybe not a music maker. There may be a number of you who have felt the same way. And this past week, as I've been sick and my singing voice has been absent, I wondered if I could still participate in that magic. I really wanted to make music in honor of Pat. But then I remembered an experience that I shared with you all back in September. It was the day we were burying our time capsule, and I'd had the idea to combine the burial ceremony with worship by having us all process out till we give thanks. And when we got there, the choir, along with all of you, would sing the song, "All Shall Be Well." We gave Pat maybe 4 days' notice that we'd be doing the song outside, and that she'd be accompanying us on a keyboard. We hadn't yet sung the song with her accompanying us, but as we sang, and as she joined us on that keyboard, I had a wave of this powerful feeling that UUCIL's history was not just yours. 1 month with you at the time, I realized your history was my history too. That past, present, and future were somehow all interwoven into that one beautiful song. And that's when I realized that every single one of us was a music maker. Because I was creating something with my participation that belonged to the music. That my emotional response made it music. Because what elevates music is not the notes, the timbre, or the beat. It's the experience. Without our experience, it's just sound. We make it music. You don't need to be Mozart, Chopin, or Lizzo to be a music maker. You already are one. Just by letting yourself be moved, just by sharing in this communal experience just by remembering Pat. Pat was a blessed music maker. She was a creator. And we participate in her music making every time we share stories of her playing. Every time we sing. Every time we listen to music that stirs the emotions within. We are sharing the power of music that Pat left us. And we are blessed music makers too. Because music is a love that resonates and amplifies within us to create something that words cannot describe. Music lights up something inside of us and gives us access to worlds inside of ourselves and inside of each other. Music will light up our whole universe if we let it. And that means Pat is still lighting our universe because her music will live on in us. Let us be music makers in honor of her light. With a love like that, nothing truly dies. Blessed be, and amen.